Hi, David Berry here, reading from the Soul's Origin, the next phase. This is the third instalment. We'll be starting off on chapter 11. Just want to remind you all first that if you'd like to purchase 10 Bears' book, it's available at Barnes & Noble, and there is a link in the descriptions below the video. Click on the link and it'll take you there, okay? Thank you very much, that is appreciated. Okay, so here we go. This is chapter 11 from Soul's Origin, the next phase, by 10 Bears. It's titled, What Is It? Spiritual awakening hardly describes what I went through. To me, a spiritual awakening is coming out of the days of the human mind after acknowledging and participating in something greater that exists. Spiritual awakening has many degrees of spiritual awareness. There is no way to measure the amount of awareness someone may have. I have heard the term incarnate used before. I do not like labelling myself, but if the child being the soul learns of the parent being creator, then what else can it be called? Is the soul the begotten child? Wow, I can hear the skeptics. If you are the child of Creator, why don't you perform a miracle to prove what you claim to be? I would like to make the wind blow, the rains fall, but that would just be a show and irresponsible. Instead, how about transforming the human life to that of the spirit? Change the skeptic to the believer that knows, and help those that had a hard time listening finally hear. Would that be enough of a miracle? What if I said my life may be a miracle in itself? I would not be so vain. I will let you decide as you speak through a little window to view how I saw myself. As mentioned before, I made some mistakes through a part of my short life. Some of those moments became emotional parasites that ate at my heart. I really did think I was an awful person that did not deserve the gift of life. No, I did not intentionally hurt anyone. I made mistakes. They were mistakes. I had looked in a mirror several times and whispered with disgust to myself, I hate you. I hope you die. No, that was not Satan or a devil that had control of me. That is how I felt about myself. I cannot tell you how many times I tried to commit suicide. For those that want to know, a bottle of pills followed by a long run through the desert heat. At times, I pictured a gun in my hand with a tailored purpose. Those emotional parasites ate at me for quite a while. Even with a family of my own, I would volunteer for the most dangerous jobs. I felt other people's lives were worth living more than my own. I went as far as trying to be like others, rather than be myself. That was not a personality identity crisis, I just hated me. I judged myself heavily and conviction shy of excuse. Start that bit again. I judged myself heavily with conviction shy of execution. I just hated the fact I may have hurt a human being. My word living through the brain can be hazardous to a life. When I exposed the truth and discovered the fullness of the soul, my consciousness seemed to have migrated from my mind, brain. I was no longer living through the brain. My brain then felt like it had always been a form of a pill that kept me 4 blinks from sleep. When my consciousness was moved, I felt a bit lightheaded. As my mind was abandoned, all my senses expanded and became completely engaged. I felt like my experience of being human had completely changed. I was seeing the world as I never seen it before, even though what I was seeing had always been there. That was not different perspective. I saw what was hidden, cloaked by a foggy mind. I took notice of the trees, birds, grass, dirt and rocks, everything. I saw it all as a painting. I saw it as creators expressed emotions. I could almost hear the words, "This me on a canvas, and you are part of it." I had a dream a couple of nights ago that I think fits in this topic. I will not go into great details, as the message of the dream should be focused on. I saw myself as two people. I recognized one person through appearance, and the other I did not. The other was a completely different person. Excuse me. Yet it was me. The one I recognized physically was my life. Had I lived every year with the impacts of my childhood and society, the other had the results of understanding Creator and the soul. The first lived life through shame and guilt. A voice in the air said, "This is how the world made you." The second was content and understood the soul. The voice came again saying, "This is how we made you, that you have accepted." I promise that dream did take place. Funny, they choose now to show me that message is quite clear. I had a choice concerning the outcome of my life. One life has more help than the other. Every person has ultimately two options for their lives. Both ways of living will have a great amount of variation through that span. Had I chose to remain living as my childhood and society impacted me, I would have impacted many lives the wrong way in turn. That chain could have grown multitudes. Now you can decide if changing from self-hating, suicidal, while living and caring about others, to what has come to be is a miracle. Did I go through a spiritual awakening? I like to think of it as living by truth. How did I get there here? I did not put my body through a rigorous, lasting suffer or of fasting. I do eat like every other person, maybe even on the unhealthy side. I did not stay away from the things of the world. I like movies, all types. I enjoy heavy metal to relaxing music. I have a fondness for classic cars, the older the better. I did not have to declare abstinence from being intimate with the opposite sex. I am married. I have been married for 20 plus years, and that is not going to change. I have not removed myself completely from society. I associate with acquaintances, a couple of close friends, and my own family. I did not spend hours meditating, trying to clear my mind. All I did was ponder the most important, the origin of the soul, and what is within it. That only took a quick moment. That still makes me laugh. I did not have to go to church and donate money because I realized Creator is within me and all around me. I did not have anyone pray for me, for I found my soul was connected to heaven, and everything I am is known in heaven. I realize being without all those things does not make me more spiritual than being with them. Being without just simplifies the life, not the person. That would give more dedicated time to the truth. If the person is simplified through withdrawal, how will the person know what the population experiences or needs? Didn't Gautama the Buddha visit the population and see it for what it was? Didn't Jesus preach to the masses? Didn't Frank Fools crow doctor and heal all those that came to him for help? Pertaining to all three that you just read in this book, universal, does this knowledge have the ability to bring all beliefs together? I am not saying you can't practice what you believe in. If anything, I am adding to it so you can reach a goal. I have hopes churches will adopt this, not call it false or antichrist, because it is not. I am not a false prophet they fear so much. A few years ago, someone knocked on my door. It was a couple of volunteers from a church. Somehow, they found out I was disabled. Barred back, to say the least. They handed over a box of canned goods and boxed food. I was very grateful for the gift. I didn't want to take it, but they insisted and walked away. My wife and I were amazed. We looked at the canned goods and saw that all of them were expired by 8 months. The boxed goods were full of insects. I thought maybe they cleaned out their pantry. I shook my head and hoped they didn't know what they were doing. I have a strong hunch they did. Through my perception, maybe they did not want to be seen throwing food away. How would that look for a church throwing food away when they are supposed to be helping the needy and the hungry? Just to let you know, I did tell them we did not need the goods, and it should have gone to someone that did. I'm glad it ended up in our hands. Had it not, someone could have eaten it and gotten sick. I am grateful to Creator for that. Here is another similar moment from my childhood. We were living in a motel room. My mother was making minimum wage, feeding close to seven adults. My stepfather refused to work. Food was, well, hardly there. My mother contacted a Catholic church for help with food. A priest brought over a box of canned goods. Again, we were grateful. Every can was missing the label that seemed odd. An hour later, my mother opened a can. She shook. The shock hit everyone. The can was dog food. We continued opening up the cans. Nothing changed. All of it was dog and cat food, nothing else. I am not to criticise religious institutions, but if they are going to claim they are helping the community, then they should do just that. I didn't want to write about some of the issues in this chapter. I worry it would read as a rant of the world and its issues. A rant is not my intention. In order to help the word spiritually, the issues of the word have to be recognised at every level. I have held on to this knowledge for about 4 years now. I have considered exposing this truth quite a few times within that short duration. I wasn't exactly ready to take on the task quite yet. I still don't think I am, but that is my own ego. My dreams have shown me different. I even considered keeping what I know to myself. I looked at the world and saw so many people hurting each other to the extreme for many unjustified reasons. I saw a world that did not deserve to know the truth, but then I saw a world that was in dire need of the truth. I feel I need to mention a dream I had in the midst of my experience before I continue with this chapter. When I woke, I was quite disturbed. I was submerged in concern for what I saw that could be. After you read it, you will be concerned. Please understand the dreams I get come at any point and are usually unprovoked. They come at random times. I do not go to bed every night thinking of spiritually, as I have ordinary, everyday issues to consider during the rare stillness moments of the evening. In this dream, I was standing on a hill, covered with short, soft green grass. On top of the hill, I was facing an ocean of people that faded into the horizon. There were so many, I could see them all. As the hill perched me above them, every person there seemed to know why I was there. I was not there to preach. The sole purpose of me being there was to award what was wanted. I looked over the vast crowd and said, whomever wants to learn and change back into what Creator made, please feel free to come with me. One woman and one man walked up so calmly to join me. They clasped my hands, and then I spoke again. For the rest of you, you will live with your choice of your physical life. There will be no hope for you while you are on this earth. It is what you chose. The three of us then turned and walked away. I do not know where we went, I just know we walked away from the mass. Before we turned, I saw the ocean of people express faces of great sorrow while crying and screaming. There was a great amount of fear and desperation, and a consciousness of abandonment. As soon as my back was completely facing them, they knew what I said would be true very soon. They knew there would be no other chance while they were in the flesh. It was like they made their last and final choice. All those people crying in agony at once, they could not conceive their mind would not be in control or enjoying the foul things they did. They couldn't accept a new way of living. They deemed it as foolish nonsense. It is so haunting to even reflect. Those faces and cries torment me, often, even to this moment of recollection, only two of what looked like thousands. People are clashing to dominate, to force an ideology on what they considered their enemy. People are willing to kill for their belief or religion. Gender orientation and politics, those behaviours have been accelerating rapidly. No one is right when anger and prejudice is expressed. People should never force others to live as they do. It is hard to see this is being done through violence. People's freedom of choice is being taken away for thousands for those agendas. That is just wrong. Excuse me. I have been seeing an array of populations with different interests and ideas clashing like never before. Those interests and ideas have led people to fight each other, both verbally and worse yet physically. I know this has happened through the ages, but this time people are self-inflicting their minds with misguided information at an alarming rate. The people at the so-called top have been responsible for some of those false ideas. They have been relentless with their ideology. They seem to be acting out of fear and desperation. Everyone seems to believe their ideas are better and more right with such conviction. The conviction seems to be so non-containable, they release that energy as a whip against the world. I wish people could step away from that behaviour and examine what they are doing to see the truth within themselves. How will they manage their pain when they realise they have been lashing out on creator's energy the entire time? There is no glory for killing people because of religion or physically beating someone because of their political choice. People that have acted out of those manners will hurt when they learn the truth of what they did, the freedom of choice they chose. The world cannot change as a whole. The change can only be done individually. If the world can accomplish this, then it can then act to prevent future harm like what is being seen now. I beg Creator to let this be. Yes, yet there is freedom of choice that may limit that chance. I would not like to see future generations become what was prior to them. The future generations would have a chance to reach perfection. A perfection within a perfection. A perfect society within the perfection of Creator's creation, Creator's energy. What a concept, only if. I see where the younger generations could use the teachings now, as some of the issues adults are displaying are bleeding into the institutions where they are sent to learn of the things that will help them as adults. They are also hurting themselves and others as a challenge for attention. Some schools have quit disciplining kids for fighting due to political issues. That in itself is wrong. How will they be as adults when they learn those ways from one's teaching them? They should never be allowed to let their children be exactly that. Throughout history, countries would invade one another for monetary value, enslave in the form of taxation. On a grander scale, government entities and political parties are taking things to the extreme for possibly different reasons. Wars are being created by so-called world leaders for the agenda to disrupt entire countries and regions. World leaders are uprooting people from their homeland and relocating them to foreign areas for no justified reason. Can you imagine a soul being responsible for all that pain? That is quite a burden to take on. That is a choice of a great mass to be made. Nations of people should not be used for such disgraceful thinking. If a person is going to put themselves as a leader or work for a nation, they should do what helps the people of that nation. They should not use the people for their own gain, nor should they be inciting any fear of any type. I have to mention this as it's just come up. Ironic how governments make a law to prevent one person from invading another person's home, yet they invade countries themselves. Do as I say, not as I do. Sometimes branches of governments make false claims to start wars only to keep their jobs. Money, power and control has led some people to do great amounts of harm. Worse yet, they mention openly that they have been praying to God for guidance to help resolve the crisis they created. I have hope the world can change as I did, for the right reason. Sorry if this seems off topic. I do have a wife and children. I want it to be known as I have changed. I do not require my family to change, nor do I force them. I only answer questions should they have any. I will continue to live with the fact all people have the freedom of choice. Be cautious with what you ask for. Chapter 12, Panic and Fear. This chapter may be very short. Today is March 25th in the year 2020. I just finished the last chapter. Prior, I had to take some time to address a personal situation that hit me hard for a few days along, with a virus that went global. I'm talking about the virus named COVID-19. According to reports, the virus started near the middle of December of the year 2019 in China. I watched some videos of the reactions that people had in the country. Simultaneously, people bought food and drinks until the markets were empty and filled the hospitals beyond capacity. Those were the first reactions of this situation the world has seen. Those reactions gave a false visual of the truth. Panic and fear swept around the earth like a fast-speeding tidal wave. The people on every continent reacted with panic and fear. What is the question that I will answer? What I saw was people buying great amounts of food, water, paper goods, and cleansing items. All the markets were emptied in hours. I hovered above the earth and looked down, like a parent watching their child. I saw the reasons that ached my heart. People did not know if they would be forced to stay within their homes for any amount of time. They wanted to make sure they had enough supplies for a long duration of time. Some also bought a great abundance to resell at a higher cost with hopes to get rich financially. Some bought with the purpose of making others go without. Because of those two reasons, some people went without and now have a hard time finding some of the products they need to survive. The elders of our world now need special shopping hours in those markets to assure they get what they need. Some markets are only providing 1 hour for them. What if they need more time? Parts of the world governments are feeding the fear and using the situation to manipulate and capitalize off it. They openly do this without any shame. In my opinion, they should be removed from their positions. They are abusing creature's creation. This behaviour would not be allowed within the heaven they claim to believe in. Therefore, if Earth is a physical manifestation of that heaven, then it should be treated as such. Should the same judgment apply, no form of any government should use people as pawns for any ill-fated agenda. Let it be done on Earth as it is in heaven. I can only hope for future generations that governments around the world will assure the people they will not be confined as such unless it is absolutely needed. I hope the world leaders will find within their souls to work together for the sake of Creator's children that they put themselves in charge of. I hope they can use every source they can to help spread the truth rather than having an opposition working against it. To counteract the energy of fear that moves throughout the world, I focused on comfort, love and calmness. I hope my energy helped. I know my own children were not scared. They were very comfortable knowing they would be fed and healthy. I hope the rest of the world can feel the same way. Chapter 13. Things get tricky. Careful what you ask for. I wanted to know the truth. What is being hidden from us? Why aren't we allowed to know the truth? When will we know the truth? When will Jesus come again? When will God send the next messenger? What will the next cleansing of earth be like? When will it happen? When is God going to pull us from earth and take us to heaven? When is Judgment Day? My, so many questions, so many concerns for such a long time. Here's where things get a bit tricky. You may or may not start that bit again. Here is where things get a bit tricky. You may or may not have realised. With what you have read, you became aware of how things work between the physical and spiritual world. You have learned what is required to reside in heaven, and how you can relate that your physical life, you just created a degree of connection, one that you can start to increase. Please understand, with any connection, what you do in life will be known quickly in heaven. Please use caution before you choose to do anything wrong from this point on. Doing something wrong hurts almost instantly. The guilt and shame happens a lot faster and stronger. If I choose to do anything as I did prior to my change, I understand I am the one pulling away from Creator. I am consciously telling Creator I would rather have the human experience without the spiritual connection. The helpers will pull away from me as they do not want to participate in any harmful behaviour. Abandonment is almost certain to be felt in such a harsh way. In this book, I made you aware of the children of Creator that is waiting to be discovered within you. You read how to find it. Through every experience may be different for every person, I request you to keep searching. Do not stop until you find it. If you work with someone that would like to learn, be endless with your encouraging. Do not give up if you slip into some old thinking. You can always return. Judge yourself, your past. Learn what you can from it. Judge others, for you may have to protect yourself. This is the Judgment Day. The result is division. I would like to make it known, I am not a prophet. I do not require people to follow me, nor believe in me. Believe in heaven and the teachings that come from that place. Most importantly, believe in yourself. Learn to accept yourself and others if they make the change. Through your change, inspire others till it becomes like a fire spreading around the world. Know that this book is almost done, and the truth is known now. I do not know what will become of me. I cannot see into that future. Whatever it is, I will accept it as Creators will. No matter what, remember I do not make promises that create a false hope or belief. I would like to share another personal experience with you. It was only days after my lower spine surgery. I made my way to the couch by myself one very early morning. I was in a lot of pain, yet I was content and calm. This happened before I discovered the greater secret of the universe. I was in complete acceptance of what I was feeling. My family was still within their relaxed slumber. I was wide awake reading a book I adore very much, my first edition from my wife. A first edition by accident. She gave it to me as a get-well-soon gift. How do I love her? and her support. Sorry for the stray. Oh, the book, right? The Gospels of Thomas. Stretched out on the couch, reading my book, I felt something strange, something I never experienced before. It was very real energy. It had a level of physical energy that could be felt, broad at the ceiling and narrow at the bottom. It had a form much like a tornado. It tried to reach down to touch me as it swirled above me. It never made it that far. I saw it. I felt what it was made of. I did not know its origin, yet I knew what it was. I knew what the energy was made of. I was not scared, though I did feel its unnerving energy. The energy did not feel like spiritual energy as commonly known. It was strong, focused, emotional energy. The swirl was grey in colour, just grey. I could sense it wanted to be acknowledged. It wanted attention. It wanted to be known. I set the book down and looked up at the swirl. I focused on its content. Confusion and fear wrapped anger, hatred, shame, guilt, sadness, loneliness and regret. I know it is a lot, but it was all there. Those emotions were so thick they could be easily identified. There was no way they could be mistaken. I can only compare that event as being submerged in a foul, stagnant smoke. This moment lasted approximately 4 minutes. I was left with a feeling of great remorse for quite a few hours. My own sorrow came into effect. I knew someone died, I just did not know who. I called a family member and told them of the entire experience, as I needed to just speak about it. I didn't need to know about it. They tried to tell me what experience came from me. I did not pay any mind to that notion because I knew it was wrong. Excuse me. 2 days later, my mother passed away from cancer. I knew it was her when I heard the news. She made her presence known in the manner she wanted known. Everything she exposed to me, to all the emotions from her entire life, in a condensed form, simply thick. When I knew it was her, I started to see what manipulation those emotions throughout her life. Her entire life she never accepted love as it was given. She wanted to be loved the way she imagined it. Was that the cause for the years of her bitterness? Did she finally understand she got it all wrong? Would this have happened? Had she changed? Did she judge herself? Was she afraid of what she would soon experience? Maybe she knew she was going to see her entire life, every secret exposed. Maybe she was filled with a dreaded anticipation. Maybe she finally accepted what she must face and chose to get it done. Chapter 14. Karma or Karmic. What a world we live in, we created. All the souls created, birthed and sent to earth to live through the avatars of flesh. Generations living through the sleeping mind without understanding of whom they were, who they are. Faster, faster, got to have it, got to get more, that's mine, get your own. Generations of children hurting others for the sake to have and be on top. You have money, look what I have. Take my lure and hand over that money. Then you will be a somebody and I will be above you because I have all the money. Thank you, please come again. One created idea, one produced thought, can lead to generations of hazards. I heard that I had to bear the sins of my parents. I never fully understood that. Maybe it wasn't made clear enough for my complicated thinking to understand. I was introduced to a concept called karma, the law that says what wrongs I knowingly impose others will come back to me, a debt owed for causing destruction that I will pay. Once again, I am not an authority on this topic. Once again, I do not want to drive you away from your belief. This is my own perspective as Creator allows me to see it. This world has been filled with ideas and inventions for generations, both good and bad. Any of them can be indulged enough to cause harm. A knife, for instance, was invented as a tool to help with survival. That tool was adopted by many others. Generations later, it was used as a weapon to attack and destroy people. The intent was changed and used to attack an innocent person, murder. The conviction of that act could be the karma. Fear of getting caught or being known would cause mental instability, enough to lose awareness that leads to self-harm through an accident. When things are used to abuse others or self, there will always be a level of awareness for the morally wrong. Creator's world is about lessons and teachings. If ignored, exposure will ensue. Eventually, being known is greatly feared by so many. Humiliation and embarrassment is heightened. Respect should always be expressed. Respect for moderation should always be practiced if a person knows they may harm to get what is desired. When things are indulged to the level of abuse, identity is lost and potential is cut short. I personally observed someone that went too far with their indulgences. Of course you know that now, as you have read. My childhood abuser suffered physically in the last years of his life. He suffered from extreme medical complications. In short, he abused and indulged in large amounts of sugar through drinks and food. Ironic, isn't it? He suffered from his own abuse. The Satanist in my life indulged themselves by the ideas of others. The information from others was used as inspiration to harm. That person, well, let's say, has a hard time with the gift of life itself. Both situations, those individuals were forced to stop their behaviour. Was it karma, or was it the fact they did not change their energy in Creator's world and gain a desire to help others? Think about the human inventions, like a vehicle. The vehicle was intended to travel faster with less needed rest. Now combine that with intoxication, maybe a cell phone, it then becomes a careless destructive weapon. I have even seen a vehicle used as a weapon with the intent to kill. Is it karma, or is it lack of respect with the result of judgment? These things have been around for a while. Laws have been put into place to curb the abuse. What if laws were not made for those things? Would we have to go back to the lack of respect and awareness of Creator's world, where harm is not permitted? Eventually, Creator will put someone or something in the path of that abuser to stop them. How many times, how many situations was the term used, "that will never happen to me"? So the same act was created with variations, the result being the same ending. Like I said, this is just how I see it, an opinion, from a non-authoritative perspective. What if I indulge in something good that could help change many people for the right reason? I've heard it said, too much of a good thing can kill you. Chapter 15. What could happen? What could happen if I discover the truth and expose it? I'm not talking of something mild that only affects a small community. I'm talking about a truth that has the potential to change the orientation of past and present that has and will become history. Could this, too much of a good thing, kill me? In the year 2012, there were an estimated 384,000 churches across the United States of North America alone. Worldwide, there was 37 million churches in the year 2017. That total is of all religions combined. That total covers about 40,200 religions. There are only 195 countries on the same planet. That should put into perspective the amount of politics and religion crammed into 7 pieces of land, 7 continents. Do these totals explain why peace on this planet governed by humankind has always been strained? Do they explain why humans are so lost, confused, and wonder what to believe in? It has been over 2,500 years since Buddha's insight of society has been shared. It has been 2,000 years since Jesus spoke of heaven on earth. It has been over 500 years since the American Indians have been expressing their wisdom and concern for the government that they claims to rule over them. What if one person exposed the biggest secret of the universe? Would attendance in churches be reduced? You know that is not what I want. How many of those church leaders would express their human frustration if that did happen? Would they hunt me down to kill me? Concerning humans, anything is possible. I laugh as this makes me think of the term dog-eat-dog world. Will I be hated by those masses or just ignored? Do you know that is not my concern? I believe in God. I am a follower of God. I represent God on this planet. I've heard those statements with my own ears. Allow me to let you see into my human life a bit once again. I encountered a married couple that struggled to agree with their wants and needs. Loud arguing was the result to many of those disagreements, years worth. They both agreed to seek counsel from the pastor and his wife of the church they attended. The pastor and wife agreed. The couple explained some of their issues that caused the most problems in their marriage. They said the pastor listened to them with an expression like listening to gossip. Within 2 hours of time, the pastor told them there was no way he could help because he could not relate to those issues. He then stood up and said he would see them in church, then left. The pastor was truthful. That was a good thing. But he mentioned he represented God and Jesus on this earth. Why did he not have the knowledge to help? Why was he so quick to walk away? Was he just hoping for the easy stuff? The couple sought help from friends they knew that could relate to them and have found solutions to their problems with that help. Last I knew of them, they were doing much better. They experienced longer moments of happiness. Was that pastor representing the creator of everything? Was he lacking the concern for others that Creator has? The pastor could not even recommend anyone to speak with. His last words to them, "I will see you in church." Suppose that couple learned of the soul and told the pastor what they learned and the source they learned it from. Suppose they told the pastor, "Thank you, but we don't need your church anymore." Suppose the news spread through the church. What thoughts that aged pastor have that has no other source of income for his survival in this economic system, his entire life and plan deleted never to return again? Would that be enough for him to be violent? Or would he look into what I gave the world and adapt to maintain his lifestyle? My hope would be for the better. Let the teachings flow. Chapter 16. Writer's Fluff. I understand this book is small and short. I am quite sure I could have written about a lot more. I assure you it would not be anything you will come to know yourself when you do the work. I didn't want to fill this book with a bunch of unneeded fluff. I wanted to be direct and to the point, without a ton of confusing and double talk to fill pages. I hope I accomplished that. I feel if something is kept simple and direct, it is easily understood, learned, mostly remembered. I can't help it, have some fluff. I recall going to the beach in California, remembering the ocean that extended to the farthest reaches of my eyesight. Once again, I felt the calming effect I experienced as I lived the memory. I felt calm because there was no overly active population to be seen. I saw the natural flow, movement of tide, gallons of water moving together as one entity. Another moment, I visited the forest high in the mountains of California with a friend. My friend mentioned they felt like an alien visiting another planet. We stopped for a moment and I explained how society had been living in densely populated cities for so long, so many generations, we feel belong to nothing else. I explained Creator-made humans to be a part of all nature, and feeling like an alien is proof we had been removed for too long. People do not hear themselves when they say, I need to get back to nature. With some of the population's disregard for respect, forests and other natural areas may be violated with litter and vandalism greatly. If people are willing to violate their soul and others, they are willing to violate the wilderness they belong to. Either way, that is showing disrespect towards the gifts from Creator. Is this something that can change if people challenge the location of their consciousness? What this earth would be like if every person retained this information. If you visit a natural area, I ask you to please be respectful. If you see litter, please just take a moment to clean it up. If you do this, take notice of Creator's painting around you and know you are restoring it. I want to thank all those that have accepted this as a hidden truth that the world has been hungry for. I cannot say if any other reveals will come after this. This is the greatest secret Creator has hidden on this earth. I still laugh with Creator at the fact what I was looking for so many years was buried under all the turmoil I adopted. It has been an interesting life, to say the least. There's hope, find it within yourself. That hope resides with that little spark. May Creator, Jesus, help us and whatever good spirits you believe in bless and love you. More importantly, may you feel it. I appreciate a person that doesn't just talk, they do the work. Remember, Creator helps those that help themselves, and I am not talking thieving. I am 10 Bears. How did I get that name? Well, it was another dream, alright. I will combine 2 dreams, 2 for the price of 1. Sorry I had to throw that in there. In my dream, I was at a local city college. I was sitting in a waiting room on the 2nd floor. A tall American Indian man looked right at me and asked, "Hey, 10 Bears, are you going to join us in the sweat lodge?" I got up, looked out the window, and saw 2 purification lodges next to each other. I replied, "Maybe, they look good." Then I woke. Next dream. I was sitting on a couch in my family room. I looked at the wall in front of me. The wall suddenly changed a bit. On the wall, after the change, there was a series of shelves, one above the other. Books filled every shelf completely, except the top one. The top shelf had maybe 8 books on it. The books were of different size. A man glowing in all white clothing with white hair appeared between me and the shelves. He seemed to be of great age, though he didn't look it. Excuse me. He looked right at me. I definitely felt his seriousness. He looked right at me and asked, 10 Bears, why haven't you written your book yet? We can't do our work until you do yours. My book was in his right hand. He put it on the top shelf after he spoke. It was a question, but not as much as a command. I woke feeling befuddled. I didn't know what to think. This book had to be written so heaven could do its job here on earth. I do not know what that dream was truly about. I don't know if I want to know. I am scared. No, I am concerned. Only for the world that does not seek for Creator within their own life. I can tell you I have tried to focus on what that dream was about. Nothing is clear to me except for what you just read. Well, the time has come to end this exposure. I do not know what will come of me in the future. Where Creator puts me, I accept. I said I have some experiences that would be enough to write this book about. Those experiences will not be written by me. They may be written by the right person when the time is right and the moment comes along. I ask Creator to love and bless you as you search with the set of goals to find. The spiritual path can be endless without a goal. The goal will never be reached if it is not known. The powers of the universe are yours. Feel them, use them, be with them. Looking back through my entire life, I now see how everything I experienced blended with the dreams I was given. Dreams like little riddles that needed deciphering, riddles of what had been waiting for me in the future. Life and dream, one continuous related story. That's the end. 10 Bears writes on the last page, I personally thank you once again. Thank you, 10 Bears. Thank you very much. And thank you all for listening.